see what he was doing. So I seen a check on his desk, and I was like, all right, cool, let me just look and see how much money this dude really makes. I shouldn't have done it, but I was just being bad. So I took out the garbage, and then I looked inside his office. My boss made $70,000. $70,000 for one job. I'm barely making $450 a week. That's slavery. When are we gonna start living instead of surviving? When are we gonna break that robotic chain? That's just me. Like, I hate being a slave. I never was a slave. Like, me waking up at 6:30 in the morning knowing I have to be to work for somebody else to make somebody else more money than I'm working for. I'm working 3 times as hard as they are, and they in the office drinking and smoking and with their feet back. I don't like it. It don't sit well in my stomach. That's me with freedom.
So I'm playing devil's advocate on that. Right? Well, I started reading this book, put out a nice little questionnaire. Which book should I read now? And it's Awaken the Giant Within. This last chapter that I read was discussing you don't actually have to work the job that you're working. You don't actually have to make them the $70,000, $7,000. You chose that. So we're choosing to be slaves. Now, it's funny when we bring up topics like slavery, right? Being so far removed from the shackles and chains. Freely just throwing it around like, yeah, we just slaves. We have what is called post-traumatic slave syndrome. Dr. Garrett. We have something called post-traumatic slave syndrome. So we still have the whiplash of the whip. We still have the repercussion of walking down the block and not being able to look our brothers and our sisters in their eyes because we're too ashamed of the reflection that we see of ourselves in their eyes. Now that sounds like a choice. That sounds like a choice we're constantly choosing to make every day to remain in the shadows. So, what it takes, my thoughts on freedom. What it takes to be free is to be able to speak freely in a room full of each other. To me, the definition of freedom is this. That's why I put up the little remark on the event page. You guys don't know how happy it makes me to be in a room full of people that care. Not just about some random topic like bring back our girls, right? We can put up a picture like, yeah, let's get our girls back by putting this picture up on Facebook. But they're not, the terrorists who took them aren't on Facebook like, damn, we should really bring those girls back. Like, damn, we're kind of affecting them. Right? There's 276 girls right now that are actually experiencing slavery right now.
That's the ones we know about.
Yeah, that's the ones we know.
That's what they talking about, should I say?
Now, one of the major profiters from sex trafficking is America. As much as we turn to, oh, I can't believe the terror, oh, the Muslims. But in God bless America, this is one of the main places that that's happening. In the Flatiron District, there's a place called the Underground. That's who some of the women that you see come on the trains with their babies asking you for money. They're being pimped out by men who have those kids on heroin. That's why half of those kids ain't awake when they come on the train with them, because they drugged up. And they're bringing all that nice little donation, your hard-earned. That's where they're bringing that, to the underworld. The underworld exists where we live. So bring back our girls, right? Bring back our freedom. But it starts in little enclaves, little rooms, little sectors like this. Open mics are really to create open hearts. That's why we're here tonight. not just for the sign up and the liquor and all that stuff. We're here to cause freedom, to take freedom with us, so that when we get in another room with us, we free each other. We don't just stay there. So, you know, I can talk a little bit, but please, anybody else who wants to touch on that, please.
Is that a video?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, everybody.
What's up?
They call me Ella. I like to talk about, but I'm gonna do this. I have an online magazine called Just What We Want to Do. The tagline is "Where Freedom Lives," because it's something that I believe in. I think that sometimes what I've been thinking about lately, I actually just bring back our girls, because I'm a female of color with roots that trace back to out of nowhere. And the idea is there's things in the world that don't really affect me, but they do. Because when somebody else is feeling this form of slavery, then it's, the question I posed was, whose responsibility is it to bring back the girls? And Toni Morrison, who's my favorite writer, she says that the function of freedom is to free others. And the problem is it's very difficult to free others when you're enslaved yourself. Nelson Mandela was one of the greatest enslaved people to free others from within, and he was one of the best rioters within, you know, telling people he needed shorts, you know, instead of pants. And then when he gave him shorts, he said, well, everybody needs shorts now. You know, like small things like that. And there's a lot of things in our minds that keep us locked away, and sometimes I do it to other people. And I think that the worst type of enslavement is unrest, and when you don't have peace in your life, whether it's things overseas, just things that, you know, in your day you can't concentrate because you're focused on other things. For example, you know what I mean? You can't focus on your schoolwork because you're so busy on being, you know, people just being racist in the street. You know, you can't. You're focused on your boss making so much more money than you. You don't know why there's things like this, and then we try to get free, and then there's other things that hold us back. Because, for example, you know what I mean? I left all my friends and went to private school. Then left my friends again and went to college. Then left my friends again and got a job. So now sometimes I sit back and kick my feet up. That's what I do. Because that frees me sometimes in the middle of the day. But I did a lot of work before that, and people don't see that. And then there's also, we're so far removed from those shackles, but there was a lot of work, but not really that far removed. There was work that was done. And if you feel enslaved, there's still work that needs to be done. Sometimes we think that, okay, I'm gonna sit here and I should be free. I ain't gotta work for it, but I should be free. Because everybody deserves freedom, and you do. But there's work that comes for it, because whenever one group is undervalued and somebody's doing a lot better, you know, it shifts. Sometimes it's black people, sometimes it's Hispanics, now it's little girls. You know, our focus shifts to different places. But if you can't free yourself, you can't help anyone else. So you gotta focus on you, what's gonna make you better, what's gonna make you happy today. And sometimes it's not money, that's our real enslavement, that $1 bill, you know, that really keeps you down. So what I do for my magazine is, I can't pay the girls, but I just bought them some soap. So I'm sending them some soap, you know, make them happy, wash up real nice, things like that. Tell them to do whatever they want to do, whatever makes you happy during the day. You have to free yourself mentally. Because, I mean, if you can't eat, that's real tough. But there are people who fast. You know? So you have to, it's in your head. Be free. That's in your head. You have to decide. It's a choice.
Next.
Anybody else?
Okay, so incarceration to me is lack of knowledge, lack of self-awareness, and lack of education. If you don't know that you're enslaved by, like, I'm not gonna, there's some things that I hope you don't get, like,
Speak.
okay, so in slavery, like enslavement or whatever, comes in a lot of forms, and it's kind of rooted into us from a long time ago, so we don't like really pay attention to it. But incarceration in a lot of ways is like little things like perming your hair because you don't believe that you should walk around with a fro or something like that. It's like sitting there and believing that someone of lighter skin complexion it's nicer or whatever because society kind of engraves it. So if we're not self-aware of these things, then we can't change them. So we need some sort of self-awareness, and with that comes education. So lack of education is lack of self-awareness and lack of freedom.
I hear some shackles break. Anybody else want to talk? No? Oh, please, bro. Introduce yourself too.
Mr. Phone guys, I'm Josie's boy. As soon as everything gets kicked off, I will be doing some live painting or artists go along. So I agree with my sister right here. Freedom starts in your mind. I completely understand where you're coming from, brother. I know what it feels like to work those long hours and come back with nothing. You know what I'm saying? Or my man right here, just like everybody else, I grew up in poverty too. I know what it feels like to go 3-4 days without eating because I had no choice. I have nothing. But the one thing that kept me happy was my work, my imagination. That's the one thing that kept me moving, that keeps me going. And the fact that I have something that I can do for hours on hours on hours without money, it makes me happy. I can go ahead and give that positivity to everybody else. I know a lot of people don't do it, but every day when I wake up, I like to have a daily affirmation.